Hi, guys. I haven't been on live for a while, so I'm excited to connect with you guys tonight. So,
Oh, my lighting is bad. Hold.
okay,
We're going to readjust.
I'm actually going to put my phone a little higher. 1 second. Thank you guys for the badges. I see them coming in. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Much better.
People are so nice. They're like sending bad. Yeah, they're so sweet.
Okay, now one more second.
Yep. Take your time.
I have to get my charger.
I'm going to send Lorie half the badges, you guys. She's not hearing us right now, so I'm letting you know. Thank
I
you.
have to,
I really appreciate it.
I had to charge up. Okay.
Hello.
This is better.
This is good. How are you?
I was at the beach, laying there or sitting there sort of meditating when I got the text. I'm fat. I'm feeling so good.
I am too. You had a good meditation, huh?
Oh my God, I had a very powerful meditation. It came in like this. It was so, yeah, I'm going to do a video on it tomorrow morning.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I loved your last video too. It was really, really powerful.
The trauma one.
The trauma one.
I liked your video today.
Open sharing.
It was good. You just went right in there.
I like going right in there.
I know. Why beat around the bush?
I feel like life is too short. And it's like, I feel like it's really important for humans to just live their true self.
That was coming in strong with for me today, this afternoon. The the necessity right now for all of us to start to really courageously begin to devour who we are. Like devour who we are. What do we want? What do we need? What does our voice want to say? What does our body want to do? Like just all of it. I also got this really strong hit today of, I wasn't going to do a video on it because it was really specific, but it was about individuals that are in the midst of really wanting to break out of relationship. This is a super side note, but whoever's listening, there's a large amount of humans that are wanting to break out of a relationship, and they're so afraid of not being loved that they're sacrificing
Ooh.
staying in what they're in. And so there's this message just came in like, let them know that they can have anything they want. Like, let them know that's a limiting belief. Let them know that it's time to jump. Let them know that it's go time. So anyway, that came in pretty strong as well.
Hi, Josh. I see you.
Okay, start talking for a second. I'm gonna grab my water.
Okay. I like what she just said. She said that sometimes we stay in relationships and we feel stuck because we think that we can't have something better. We're not, we can't be loved properly or adequately.
It's a limiting belief.
Limiting belief. We can have it all. We were born to have it all.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of really starting to pay attention to that the limiting beliefs that are coming up in any capacity in our lives right now, and recognizing that it's just energy. What if you looked at a limiting belief as just energy? Seriously, because that's all it is.
That's all it
So
is.
why are we giving so much power to the beliefs? It's such a matrixy
Uh,
thing to
I,
do.
I think we give power, we give clout to beliefs because they've solidified a reality that corresponds to that belief. So that reality is something for people. So going back to your example, that boyfriend, that's like tangible, even though it might not be the ideal partner, because they had that belief for so long and then it became manifest, they hold on to it, or we hold on to it because it's basically all we know. Um, this is something that came up for me last night. Like, what realities are you still supporting? What realities, like, are you still supporting unconscious realities
How would you know that you're supporting unconscious reality?
based on how you feel? You feel trapped, you feel stuck, you feel suffocated, you feel stifled, you feel lack. You feel fear. You're supporting unconscious realities based on old
Victimhood also.
victimhood.
Yeah, feeling trapped, feeling stuck, feeling like you don't have a choice.
Like you don't have a way out.
Yeah, that's unconscious.
I think one of the biggest energies that we're dealing with is, and I've been playing with this a lot, like knowing that you're free, knowing that God would want you to be free. Then there's this ego voice that creeps up and says, but what if something bad happens to me if I'm free? What if I own my power? And then people think I'm in my ego. And then bad karma is going to arrive because of that. Like, I think people need to shake out of their minds or delete that file in their mind that tells them that owning your power is your ego. It's not. Owning your power is not your ego. Owning your power is being free enough to claim who you are. You're claiming who you are. You're claiming zero limitations. You're claiming abundance. You're claiming infiniteness. You're claiming your unlimited self. But a lot of us, because we're surrounded by people who are stuck in the matrix, they're going to make you feel like you're in your ego.
Right, it's a projection because they want to keep you where they are.
Because that frequency of freedom can really wobble a lot of people out of their alignment. And then they project onto you that you're too big for your britches. And that, in fact, you're really just claiming your freedom. Freedom is what God wants for all of us. So I've been doing this thing where I just claim my freedom. I know that nothing can stop me. I'm untouchable. But of course, there's this little voice that goes, are you sure? Are you
Yeah.
sure? Right? That is the inner critic that says, what if something bad happens to you if you claim your freedom? But then you have
Right.
to take it the next step. You have to take it to a whole other level where you say, I will not believe that lie, because the truth is I'm here to be free. And the other thing I got is, you're here to be free as long as you don't hurt other people. Meaning, if you're not going around imposing your ways on other people, then you have a right to be as free as you want. If you're not overstepping anyone's free will, you're being if you're keeping to yourself, you have a right to be as free as you want within that state of mind. That's your birthright.
And also, if you recognize what you're in, if you recognize if you imagine that there's like a matrix around your body that has all these programs and all these limiting beliefs and all of these behavioral patterns, and everything has been programmed into you.
Mm-hmm.
So your natural state, your natural state of being is freedom, free
Yeah.
expression, abundance. That's your natural frequency. It's your natural state of being, but you've got this cobweb all over you. And the cobweb is the traumas, the programs, the limiting beliefs, the contracts, the behavioral patterns, all of these things. So to become free, to become creator, to step out of suffering, to step into abundance, to step into love, to step into all these things that are our birthright, you have to look at the web, i.e. the matrix, i.e. the programming, i.e. the limiting beliefs that are literally wrapped around you. And it's like we're literally peeling back.
Wait a second. Can you guys hear me? I think Lorie froze. Wait, I think she's probably, hold on. She got caught in the internet web. Okay, she left. Are you guys hearing me properly? Like, is it clear? Can you guys see me clearly? Okay. All right. Awesome. She's gone. The Matrix didn't like what she said. Let me see if she's asking to come back on. Yep. Just want to give a few shout outs. Sylvia, thank you. Ingrid, Escanor, Lizzie, Rachel, thank you. You're so sweet. Herb, Liz, Kelly, thank you guys. I haven't done a live in a really long time. This feels nice. It feels nice to just chat. And but Lorie and I have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, like personal shadow work and stuff. It's been really powerful. Let me see. Hi, Sue. Hey, Danielle. That's sweet, Leslie. Yeah, I'm really happy that Lorie and I connected. Let me see. She's back. If she's back, let us see. Let us see. Let me grab my laptop and message her from there. One second, my friends. The age of technology. I'm going to message her. Oh, thank you, Warrior Princess. You know, when people say to me, sometimes they say to me, oh, let it go. Just let those people go. But I don't like that because I like expressing my thoughts. I really like expressing my ideas. And a lot of times people will think that what I post is because I'm triggered. I'm not. I'm using it as an opportunity to share a teaching. I think it's important to express our ideas and not try to put it in a box, you know? We put each other in a box too much. Like, if you want to share about your shitty day, I'm not going to say, oh, cheer up. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to you. I think people have gotten disconnected from just the divine feminine energy of holding a space. Of holding a space, you know what I mean? We have to hold a space for each other. You have to share. What we're doing is, even by sharing, so by expressing your ideas or your concepts or what you went through, you're creating a container for people to then hold a space. And you're also giving people an opportunity to address whatever's coming up for them, really just to hold a space. So sometimes people will say, well, oh, let it go, Phil, da, da, da. But it's not, I'm not, there's nothing to let go of. I'm just expressing my ideas. So that's really annoying sometimes. Yeah, you're just sharing to share. Could you imagine if every video I did was the exact same? That would be so lame. I mean, I have to keep myself entertained. I need to keep myself entertained. If I'm talking about the same thing every damn day, like I'm going to be bored. I'm messaging her right now. Yes, it's vulnerability, it's openness, it's authenticity. Authenticity. My past life Indian comes out sometimes. Should we buy badges? No, the money doesn't go to IG. The money will go to me and then I'll send half to Lorie. Okay, she's back in. Yeah, IG doesn't take the money. Yachts, honey. I do yachts, honey. That's my frequency. That's my frequency, honey. Oh my God. That's my frequency. Hi.
Welcome to Hotel Wi-Fi.
Hotel Wi-Fi in Mexico.
If I get cut off again, it is what it is. Am I
You
okay
won't.
right now?
You're good. Wait. Okay.
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 Promise?
Promise.
Okay.
Promise. I was just talking about how it's important to be able to open share your ideas online without people thinking that you're triggered. Like
Oh,
when you share something, but you're using it to teach, you're using experience to teach, that doesn't mean that you're triggered. But what a lot of people do is say they say let it go. That's similar to saying if you're sad, just be happy.
there's lessons in it though sometimes. There's lessons in it.
Yeah,
So it's like you want to bring out, it's like if you were a teacher in kindergarten or in first grade and like something happened, you're like, oh my God, this would be a great example to teach my kindergarten kids.
yeah,
Right? So it's not that we are bringing it up because we're triggered. We're bringing it up because this is a collective consciousness that needs to be examined. That's why I bring them up, because, you know, when people call me certain names, if I bring it up in a video, it's because I am trying to point out an example of something. I'm trying to accentuate something. I'm trying to divulge very unconscious patterns within the human collective that is so unconscious that even when I talk about it, share about it, and break it down, there are still people that will have the exact triggering which I was discussing and describing and breaking down in the actual video. That's how unconscious humans are.
it's about
So,
safe. So it's like if a friend opens up to you and they're just opening to share, they're not looking for your advice. They're not needing your feedback, opening because they want to, they're choosing to, it's a choice to share.
right.
And you go, oh, you're just complaining, but you're projecting at that point because that person isn't complaining. But because you're running these filters or you're seeing through the green tinted goggles, you're going to see that experience through that green tinted goggle, and you're not actually going to listen to them. Everything that they share is going to fall on deaf ears. But if someone is choosing to share something with you, the universe is actually giving you a chance as well to hold a space for them.
Right.
Um,
Think about all the people, think about how you, when you're listening to somebody and your response to them,
yeah,
pay attention to your response to the person that's having the conversation. Most times, I'm going to just throw this out there. I could be wrong. I'm going to say 80% of the time, when somebody's expressing something to you, they really don't want your advice, right? Meaning they want to just sort of express themselves, and they want to be heard, and they want to be seen.
I,
Unless they say to you, you think 100% of the time?
I think 100% of the time, God is shining through people, no matter what they're dealing with. And God is like, yo, shut the F up and listen to my freaking human.
Right.
That's
And
what I
just honor it. Just listen. I don't need, because what happens is when we think we need to fix the person, give advice, assist the person in changing their behaviors, their thoughts, their beliefs. It's a program. That's a human program. We're programmed to sort of be that way. And it's our projection. It's our projection. Where
yeah.
if you are aware of what you're doing, you'll start to just allow that person to express themselves. It's very uncomfortable in the beginning when you start doing this, but you literally just stop that projected vomit that wants to come out and sort of like fix somebody or tell them what you think they should do, what you think is the right thing.
Talking about the listener, you guys, the person listening to their friend speak.
Yes, the person that's listening, right? So you come and give me something, right? And
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, I want to say this, 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 I want to say this. And I know that that's my projection,
Yep.
right? And Phil is probably not asking me for any of this. He just wants to express. And then if he asks me, maybe I'll give him a little something, right? But that's a programmed response that's all about projection. So think about when you watch somebody on YouTube or on Instagram, right? And you just go right in and there's just comment after comment after comment after comment of projected programming, projected programming, projected programming over and over and over and over and over again. Like be the observer of that. Just start observing.
Also, the other thing that was coming to me when you were discussing this was, I would say that 80% of the time, so we were talking about the 80%, this is where the 80% comes in. 80% of the time, when most humans listen to their friends, they're already thinking about what they want to say. They're actually really not listening to their friend. They're not listening because the ego has a hold over them, and they're already in that chatterbox of, ooh, I can't wait to speak and interject what I want to say. But they're actually not. Here's the thing about the power of your mind. If you were to attentively listen to your friend and decide to yourself, I'm going to serve humanity, every other person that's struggling, that's not being heard right now. As I listen to my friend, I'm going to listen to every other person in the world that doesn't feel seen or heard. Your life would start to turn around in a majestic way. Your mind gets to decide what you want everything to mean.
Right.
If you're speaking to me and I'm following every sound, like, yeah, God, I'm following you through Lorie, right? Oof, oof. Like, you got my full attention. And then I can assign what I want that to mean. That's being a magician. You're becoming a magician.
So basically what you're doing is you are looking, I'm speaking something to you. I'm expressing whatever. And you're seeing me through the eyes of like, you're seeing me as God or as spirit or soul, right? And so there's nothing to fix, right? You're just sort of like, you're a badass, keep going. Like when you and I communicate, it's very unlike other communications that I have because here's how it works. You have to get used to it. So like, I'll speak and talk, and then there's like a comment of like you heard me, and then it's on to something else, right? As opposed to really sort of playing in this like, well, what do you mean? Well, let's dive deeper. Like that, it's almost like it just needed to be expressed. You're like, oh yeah, I heard that, I see that, and then we're on to something else, right? And vice versa, right? So it's a different way of communicating. Most people don't do that. Most people feel like they don't see the spirit, the God. Like when you talk, I see God. And I'm like, oh, he's in that space right now. Oh, he's in that space right now. Oh, he's in that space right now. And
That's
there's
because
nothing to fix.
I think we have a foundation where the respect we have for each other will never go away.
Right. So does that mean you have to have respect for someone in order to see God in them?
No, I don't think you need to have respect, but I think with you and I, we can cut each other off. But because we're multidimensional, I'm still kind of acknowledging you on that other dimension or in that other dimension.
Right.
Like we can be in like 15 different radio stations at the same time. But it
Right.
like
Right. We can go in all these different directions.
and we
But I
never
like, yeah, I liked what you said about can people start practicing when somebody's talking to them, whether it's a family member, whether it is a coworker, whether it is a relationship partner, a friend, can you listen to them as God? I love that. I
well,
think that's
because about it, every person that's speaking to you has been sent to you for a purpose. So even though the conversation is seemingly boring to you or seemingly dull to you, when you have to pause and listen, that usually brings up your trauma. It's like when you're stuck in a traffic jam and you can't move, you need to enjoy that traffic jam because that traffic jam is gold, meaning you might get home really fast without the traffic jam, but you will accelerate your healing if you enjoy the traffic jam.
right. There's magic in that moment.
So you're being slowed down. You can't move. And when you can't move, you have to be present. And when you're present, then those traumas come up. They start to arise. They float to the surface. So if you look at people, when they're like, when you speak to me, you're my teacher. Because I'm not going to speak out of turn. I'm practicing presence. So it's a gift. And what happens with people is they take things too literally. So they agree or disagree with you rather than going, wait, that's so shallow. What is the energy that I'm feeling when I listen to this person?
Yeah, it's not about right or wrong or
It's
agreeing or disagreeing. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. So you wonder how many times people start to watch one of our videos and they're instantly sort of unconsciously thinking, am I going to agree with this one or am I going to disagree? Like they have to figure out how they're going to navigate the video instead of being in presence, being in now. So I'm going to hit the play button on Phil's video. And if I'm present, if I'm in now, then I'm not focusing on what I'm going to be thinking about in terms of how I'm going to navigate Phil's video. That's future. How am I going to navigate? Am I going to like what he's saying? That's like, is it going to be something I'm like? Is he going to trigger me again? Is he not going to trigger me? Right? You're not even really listening to the message.
they're
Because
not
you're
being,
like, yeah,
could you imagine if you decided I'm going to go on a marathon where I go on Cardi B's page, I go on whoever's page, on every celebrity's page that either I love or bothers me, and in 30 minutes I'm gonna have different personalities bombard me with their different frequencies, but I'm not gonna point the finger or agree or disagree. I'm just gonna tend to what comes up for me.
which is all energy.
You would see every person out there as a divine being. Every person is a divine being that's been sent to you to fast track your process.
Right, because listen, it's all energy, right? It's all
Mm-hmm.
energy. It's not duality. Duality is right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no, should, shouldn't, this is okay, this isn't okay, we need to do this, we don't need to do it. Duality. Presence is energy. Everything is energy. If when you're in the now and the now and the now and the now and the now, all you're doing is energetically being. That's it. So you're navigating your now through energy, which is why people don't like to do it, because when you're energy, you're feeling everything and you go crazy. So if you listen to Cardi B or somebody else, right, and you decide you're going to practice now moment. Now moment is energy. That's now moment. So you're not even thinking, because thinking pulls you out of now moment. Now moment is literally the moment of that energy. If you start thinking, then you're going to start rolling down a hill of something else, and it's going to pull you from what Cardi B is saying, which is really just energy. And that is where the magic is, because it's the energetic exchange that hits the trigger. It's all energy. When you say something and it triggers someone, it's not your words. It's the words, but it's the energy of that exchange that hits the trigger within your body. That's energy. Imagine how fast. You're right. We would be gods in like 2.2 seconds if everybody just got real present real fast with everything.
And we would all have a kumbaya moment. Like we would all celebrate how funny we can be, how crazy we can be, how playful we can be. We would enjoy all of it. It would become very endearing to watch the human express their signature. I mean, there are things about me that I speak the way I speak. I can't fucking change it, dude. Like, what the fuck? Right? So it's like, I'm who I am. I cannot change the way I speak. But my voice can trigger a lot of people. I can't change my voice.
What do you mean your voice triggers a lot of people?
Well, I don't know. I think it's the way I know, like, I just feel like I'm always changing my tones and like, I know what to do to get in there. But
Yeah.
I'm wired.
Yeah.
I used to trigger my dog when I was like 7. I'd look at it like, and then it would get triggered. I just know how to get in there. You know what I mean? But that's just wired.
That's your signature.
It's my signature. And
we all have a signature.
I don't do it to purposefully create harm. I'm just that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your signature.
Yeah.
And you've learned how to embrace it.
Yeah. I can't change it, but I understand how people may not like me. I get it because there are things about me that I've had to embrace.
Right.
Because I can't change it.
Right. You had to. This is good, actually. Like, and I think I did a video on this. You can't expect other people to love pieces of you if you can't love those pieces. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't devour and embrace all of your unique, awesome little traits that you have, how are you possibly going to expect the whole world to? Right? Like, we have to embrace our own unique signatures that we hold. And when you do that, you don't give a crap what anyone says any longer. It's when you don't love those pieces that you get bent out of shape when someone doesn't accept you. When you have fully embraced your signature, you could care less if somebody accepts you or not. You're not tampered by it. You're not bent out of shape by it. It's it's like, oh, here's another comment. Here's another word. My family member saying this or that about me. When you are in your divine signature, your frequency, your personality, your humanness, all of the things, and you're solid in it, watch out. Get out of my way.
Lorie, think about how seriously people take themselves. Think about a great title for an event. Lighten up, meaning get that light in your body and freaking lighten up. Like,
it's like a double meaning.
Like, why does it have to go to that dark place? That's because people are still harboring so much shadow. When I listen to different channelers and stuff and they're blunt, I laugh. It's just funny to me. It's a show. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
But it's all about the lens you're seeing life through, because people take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
They do. It's like I'm tickling you in another dimension and you don't know it.
Right.
Like I'm tickling. I have a straight face on, like a poker face, but I'm like, I'm like tickling them in another dimension.
You know what I was thinking about today when I was there was a lot of different things that came in. This is kind of like a tangent, but kind of not. So, I mean, it kind of is, but you know those moments, because I was thinking of like the collective consciousness, and a lot of people don't even know what that means, right? Like, what do you mean collective consciousness? So I was like just kind of trying to think of some examples. You know those moments when I love these moments. These are some of my most precious human moments. When you're at a concert, or you're at a baseball game, or you're at a I don't know where else you would be at, but like an event where there's a lot of people, thousands of people. and everybody is tuned into the same frequency, i.e. your team, it was the ninth inning, bases loaded, it was tied 7-7, right? 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm like,
I don't know.
hey, so much about baseball. 7th inning, 2 out, 2 in, 2 negative, 2 positive, calculus 1, calculus 2. Like, what the fuck? Like, how much do you know baseball?
I don't know how I just threw that out there. I was like a commentator. I was like one of those commentators for the baseball games. Like, that's basically what I just did. I commentated for a baseball game.
That was crazy.
Anyway, yeah, that kind of was. But anyways, so that's what happened, right? It's like everyone's on their seats, and they do they hit the ball over the gate, right? And everybody is in that same frequency. Everyone that's on the same team, they're on the same frequency of joy, of jumping up and down, and people are crying, and your whole body has goosebumps, and you're turning to a man or a woman or a kid or somebody that you don't even know, right? And you're hugging and you're high-fiving, and you're like, everybody comes together in that moment. It happens at concerts, right? There's that one song the person sings or the group sings, right? And everybody is they're connected to the same frequency. The point I'm trying to make is, in a collective consciousness, when everybody clicks into that same frequency, the power of that moment, it's like you've turned, like, instead of turning on, there's a Christmas tree, okay? And you have all these lights wrapped around it. And when you turn it on, there's like 15 light things wrapped around it, but only one of them turns on. It's not as bright. But if they all turn on at the same time, it's a massive frequency shift. And so when all these humans are tapped into the exact same frequency, which is all that is, every human body has now connected to the same frequency, charged up. You realize the power. First of all, you realize 2 things. We're all unified. When you're in that space, you don't care if somebody got the freaking vaccine or not, if they wear a mask or not, what color of their skin is, what car they drive. None of that. You're not thinking that in that moment, right? So unification and the power of coming together in one frequency. And those moments are what we need to start to, I think we need to start to tap into more. That collective, if I walk into a store and I can shift a frequency like that, why wouldn't I try to do that, right? Like, if I can walk into, if we have the power to shift a collective by all tapping into the same frequency, why are we not doing that?
Well, I'll tell you why. I got it. So at the baseball game, there's a common denominator, which is the team, the local team that everyone's rooting for.
Right.
So everyone's clear on the common denominator.
Okay, yes.
Okay. In this reality, everyone's clear that they want freedom, but there's a trapping system preventing them from seeing the common denominator.
Which is freedom.
So freedom is the common denominator.
Yeah.
That's what we all inherently strive for, is freedom. The problem is there's all these trapping systems, or these like fish nets that are they're blinding people from keeping their eyes on the freedom. So everyone's splitting off because they subconsciously all want freedom, but they don't all consciously want freedom. If we consciously wanted freedom, we would know that that doesn't lie in the hands of someone else. That lies in humanity's hands. It lies in our hands. It lies in, what are we going to do tomorrow to turn this freaking party up on this planet? Right? And then numbers could come together and congregate. I think the problem is that everyone subconsciously wants freedom, but they're in the matrix, and there's a lot of propaganda and a lot of this and this and that, and it's creating divide between people. And that's the point of it. Their purpose is to blinker you like a horse, to make you think that your way is the only way, but every other human wants the same thing as you. Every other human wants the same thing as you.
We all want that baseball to go over the fence. We all want to be able to stand up and scream.
Run.
But the problem is, not only is there propaganda, but there is so much trauma, and there are so many intricate, unconscious, mind controlling games, and these like trauma bonds with these systems, that it's blinding, or it's creating, this is the only way to freedom. This is the only way to freedom. This is the only way to freedom. When we all want that collective freedom, but these traumas, these systems tell us this is how you're going to get to freedom. This is going to we have to break out of that linear, this is how you get to freedom. The way you get to freedom is that you step out, exactly what like you said, you step out of anybody telling you how to get to freedom. That's the opposite of getting to freedom. Getting to freedom is coming back here.
The thing though, this is the thing. People are choosing that path because they are getting freedom. That's what's crazy. So think of it like this. You know what concentric circles are? You have one circle and another circle and another circle and another circle. People are getting freedom, but it's a reduced version of the freedom they could actually have. So they're in this one little circle, and they wouldn't be doing what they were doing if they weren't being rewarded for it. So they are getting freedom. They're not getting the freedom that we could all have, but they're getting the free. I'll give you an example of the freedom they're getting. Oh my God, like I now share the same views as the girl that I was trying to get validation from. So she likes me now because we both agree that wearing the mask or not wearing the mask is the view that we both share. So now this woman who's been seeking approval from this one other girl who's in the in crowd, this other girl in the in crowd is finally like, yo, you should come to the bar with us. In her mind, that's freedom.
Right.
In her, like, oh my God, I'm going to keep riding this car or this bus all the way in without the mask or with the mask or with my views because this other woman approves of me.
Right.
So in a concentric circle of the freedom she now has, but there's all these other circles around it where it's like, yo, if you stop seeking approval, there's a higher freedom that awaits you. And then if you stop seeking whatever's there, there's an even higher freedom that awaits you. And then the ultimate freedom, which we're all wanting, is freedom for humanity. So their concentric circle, their ideologies, what freedom is blocking their access to higher freedom.
And honestly, I deeply believe that the key to all of this is healing trauma. I do. I think that if every single human healed their trauma, there wouldn't be these little circles. That's a trauma response that woman had. Wanting to be seen, wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted. That's a trauma response. She would never do that if she healed whatever trauma was in her body. She wouldn't feel the need to do that. There would be no desire, no urge, no pull, no push. It wouldn't make any sense. Plus, she would see that that actually isn't freedom. She would see the limiting freedom around that. So,
but she is forcing it as joy because she's been wanting it her whole life. She's been wanting that other girl to give her a little badge her whole freaking life. So can you imagine?
She never got it when she was young.
She never got it when she was young, so she's going to feel it as joy. So you can understand from her perspective, if you just step into her shoes, to her, oh my God, I'm accepted. And the whole time the higher self is like, you could have been Jennifer Aniston, but you were so focused on getting approval from this other girl that you missed out on your calling or your higher calling. Even though technically you don't really miss out on anything. But yes, time is a real thing. In this reality, time is a real thing. So you've got to get down and dirty because the spirit wants to show you what it can manifest for you in physical form if you stop getting in your own way. That's why sometimes we feel like, I've been in abusive relationships, right? I was in one for 8 years. Um, and at the end, it was like there's an urgency. My guides gave me the freaking boot. You're fucking leaving today. Why is there an urgency sometimes? Because the spirit knows that it takes time to manifest. So if your end game, meaning if your highest objective is 30 years down the line, it needs to get you moving because it wants to show you what it can manifest for you. But we have to kind of get it together. We have to hurry up. We have to, because otherwise you might attain a certain level of consciousness, but you may never have it materialize. You may never have it materialize. You feel
I'm
me?
just, yeah, I'm with you. I'm what I'm thinking about as you're talking is like, so how do you break those cyclical patterns that are based in trauma? How do you even, how did we start doing it? Like, how does it start?
You just have to have the will. You have to literally, because there are so many powerful forces in the universe that are constantly conspiring to help you awaken, because that's why you came. You came here to remember that you came to be great. You came here to remember and then to manifest heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is a physical experience, but first it happens mentally, it happens spiritually.
Oh, I got it. I got the answer. That was
Okay.
a great answer, but I got another one as well. If you are searching externally, here's how you know if you are unconsciously still playing in things, because that girl thought that this was going to bring her joy. She didn't know. And this is what I was trying to get to. If you are searching, and this is going to be a hard one for a lot of people, but it is what it is. If you are searching externally for anything, for validation, for love, for acceptance, to be seen, to be held, to be there, anything, then you are going to remain in a sort of handcuffed, restricted, somewhat fear-based, trauma response way of being, which most of us have been our whole life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. But the way you start to pull yourself out of unconsciousness and trauma and patterns is that you have to come back. You have to pull everything back to come back into alignment right here. And when you come back into alignment over and over and over again, you won't need those girlfriends to say, hey, you're so awesome now because this, come to the bar. It's that may or may not resonate, right? You may not need that anymore because you feel fulfilled. So you may choose something completely different than the behavior that you originally did because you feel fulfilled inside. You're not searching. It's all everything that we will ever need. If you think about what you received last night, right? You don't need, if you knew that you had everything you needed here, you were safe, that nobody was going to save you, right? That nobody was going to love you the way that this is designed to be loved. And you deeply settled into that space, as uncomfortable and as weird and as non-sort of humanish that may sound, that's where you heal. That's where you evolve. That's where you step out of trauma. That is where you make decisions in terms of freedom. That's where you free yourself and you free all of humanity. That's how you do it.
I have something else that's really good. And I love what you just shared. I would ask that girl, how did it make you feel when that girl in the in crowd wasn't paying you any mind? How did it make you feel? And her answer would automatically be, it didn't make me feel good at all. It made me feel unseen. It made me feel unacknowledged. Then I would say, What makes you think that there was something wrong with you back then? What if you were to see it as you were perfect as you are, and that thing that was not making you feel so good was just a demonic trap? I call them demonic strategies. And then you started doubting yourself and questioning yourself. I'm not cool enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not cool enough. What if you were always perfect and you stopped trying, reaching outwardly for something that doesn't make you feel good? If it doesn't make you feel good, then it means that even if the girl ends up liking you, that girl still has the same shadow because she just likes you because you believe what she believes. That's conditional. So what I would ask that girl is, what makes you think that there was something wrong with you?
Right.
And then when something doesn't feel good in your heart, instead of going out to reach it, stop. We know deep down, we know when we shouldn't reach out to an ex, and we're like, I know that if I reach out to them, I'll feel better. That's a demonic strategy. By demonic, I don't mean like demons. What I mean is it's a booby trap. It's a
Right.
booby because you're lonely. If
Yep.
you if you had another boyfriend, you wouldn't give two shits about that other person. If you had someone who celebrated you, cherished you, you wouldn't give two shits about that person.
Same with friends.
Same with friends.
Same with friends.
So to always replace yourself in that or re-anchor into that abundant mindset, if I had everything that I know I'm worthy of, would I care about this thing I'm entertaining right now? Probably not. I'm only doing it because I'm lonely. Lonely is it. If you act on loneliness, you're acting on lack. So you're reaching outwardly for something that you think is going to fill your cup, but if anything, it's going to drain your cup. You know why? Because whenever you make a decision based on that lack and loneliness and boredom, you're going to manifest more of that lack. That's just how it works. How many times, for me, anytime I reach out to an ex, it never works out well. They still can't hear me. They still can't hear me.
No, you perpetuate it. It's the hamster wheel. You're just perpetuating, 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 perpetuating. You
Yeah.
perpetuate the same thing because we don't like feeling really uncomfortable. We don't like sitting with it, especially now that we have devices where we can just contact the person in 2.2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to sit um, it's so hard to sit with those uncomfortable emotions, those your mind starts going and playing games on you. I should have done this, I should have said this, maybe if I reach out and I'll tell him this or tell her that, then it'll change it, and then like your mind goes crazy. That's the key to all of this. The key to healing or to moving through whatever it is that you're experiencing is just don't don't act on it. Just go through it. Just go through the mind, go through the thoughts, go through what's happening, right? But don't do the old pattern behavior. Don't,
Because, yeah, exactly. Because the thought isn't in the present. The thought is from the past and it's teaching you to be present, right? Like the thought is from the past. And because you gave it clout in the past, obviously it's going to try to pull you in. But actually, the thought, if you perceive it as it's trying to teach you, then you wouldn't act on the thought, because by acting on the thought, you're acting on the past. That's not presence. Presence is this thought is coming up, just like when people speak to me, I get to be present. I get to not interrupt them. It's coming up to teach me presence. Presence. It's all.
it's all presence. It's all presence. And
Can I give
it,
people who sent us badges real quick?
yeah.
I want them to feel seen. Brianne Marley, thank you. Idona, YYJ Guy, thank you. Sandra, thank you. Jess, thank you. Love you. I see you. Muna Libra, Jenna, thank you. Jerome, Brett, thank you. Cardsy, oh, Rebecca, thank you. All right, cool. And if I didn't include you in that, I see you with my third eye.
And we love you. Um, presence right now, we've been talking a lot about it a lot, but so here's what I find so funny about the human experience. So this is kind of funny. Okay, maybe not. Maybe nobody will think it's funny. But okay, if you were to take yourself out of the human journey, out of the human experience, right? And you kind of were to look down and look at all the humans, and like alien to alien, or like spirit to spirit, angel to angel, you're never gonna guess the two hardest things that they struggle with down there. And you're like, I don't know, freaking driving that car that they're in. What? They're like loving themselves and being present.
Ooh.
And the alien or the angel's like, what? You know, because they're higher consciousnesses. They're like, what do you mean that's the hardest thing that they have to do? That's the easiest thing. That's the easiest part of being down in physicality. That should be the physicality part is what should be so hard, right? Like traumas and like, you know, whatever it is, but the love and the moment, the presence, that should, quote unquote, should be the easiest. And that is the absolute, quote unquote, hardest thing that we are coming back to, which is our natural state of being. Our natural state of being is unconditionally loving ourselves and then loving all others, and only living in presence, in now.
You know what I always like to say? Presence is the absence of stories.
Presence is the absence of everything.
There's nothing that exists in the present.
Today I was like, I was messaging, what?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to tell a story of how I was messaging you today, and I was like, dude, I don't know how to explain what's happening to me, but I feel like I don't have a thought. Like, I don't, like, I'm like void of, like, I was void. It was a very strange, it's not even, like, it's just these moments where I'm like, I can't find a thought. I'm in this place of such presence. I'm not trying to be that. And it's pockets of it. It's not like I'm always like that right now, but there's massive amounts of pockets where I'm there like a lot of the time. And it's this feeling of like, wait, it's silent. Like I'm just kind of like hovering over all of this, observing it without needing to do anything except for whatever shows up in that now.
Yeah. I mean, you and I did a lot of work this week together, and we were like, okay, after this conversation, we'll start being present. And it's like, at some point you have to get off that roundabout and just be present. It's kind of like when people say, after I get the car, then I'll be happy. After we have this conversation, then I'll start being present. But if you're present, you may never need to have that conversation because you're shifting frequency.
Yeah.
So it's like Lorie and I were like, but we did a lot of great work this week, but we were talking nonstop, blah, 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 blah. And then we're like, I think we're supposed to just shut up and be present now. Right? But there's a momentum that builds, which is beautiful, a momentum that builds upon itself when you have, when you're creative and when you're inspired, but that too can take you out of the present sometimes.
Yeah, but what's so great about you and I is we don't ever judge anything, and we never attach to anything, and we observe everything. So when we're in a place where we're sort of talking about something that's not present, we don't have to say anything to each other because we both are observing the fact that we're now in not the present. So we're not like, hey, Phil, we're not in the present right now. We just know. We don't attach or we don't judge, right? No. And we're just watching. And so then because what that does is when you don't judge, when you stop judging yourself and attaching to an expectation of how you should be, you will find yourself moving back into that aligned state quicker, right? So for us, that aligned state is that presence, right? Really presence, higher self, sort of align. That's the state that we are constantly moving back into. And anytime we get pulled out for whatever reason, if we just allow it to be without this attachment to it or expectation around it or judgment, we'll find ourselves right back again and off we go.
Yeah. Oh, this is something else I want to say that ties in with that. When people Okay, so I want to ask you this because this is really good. If someone holds a lot of judgment towards themselves, this is so important, you guys. Take notes. If someone, you're like, don't impose your ways on me, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Um, if someone judges themselves really harshly, are they going to be able, I'm asking you, are they going to be able to sit and have a debate for 5 hours?
With somebody else or with themselves?
Two people are in a marriage,
Oh,
and one person, or a friend, and one person has a lot of trauma. Do you honestly think that if the other person brings a conversation to the table, that they will be able to sit on that chair for 5 hours? No, they're
no.
bolt after 10 minutes because they can't hold the energy of the conversation. They can't hold it.
Well, and what they'll do is, this is very typical of somebody that has a lot of trauma. They're very judgmental. And what they do is, it's almost like they pull out some sort of cardboard box. They throw it in front of themselves. So basically shut off. And so everything you're saying is just bouncing back. And they're like repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's just bouncing off that cardboard box, bouncing back to them. It's like there's no point in having a conversation. The cardboard box is up.
I'm out. And they dash out of the room. That's the thing. That's when you can tell when someone truly holds judgment. Because I don't know about you, but I can sit and have a conversation endlessly. There's nothing that's going to rattle me. I'm not afraid to have conversations. Love is a beautiful thing. Love goes into the shadow and makes love to the shadow. You're not afraid of the shadow when you when you love everything. But if someone holds judgment, they're like, I'm leaving, bye. And they dash out of the room because
Which
they
is
can't
happening all the time right now. It's happening all the time.
all the time.
Right now, even more than most times on the planet.
Right. And I think that's like a very simple way to look at it. But if someone's able to converse for hours on end, they probably have the consciousness capacity to have a conversation.
And I think one of the things we're learning, or one of the things that we're being asked to learn as a human collective, one of the pieces of our evolution is to be able to sit with many different beliefs, many different truths. This is another one of those simple things where the aliens are like, what do you mean they can't hear other people's opinions? Like, that doesn't comprehend to them, right? Like, what do you mean they can't listen to somebody else's beliefs that aren't theirs? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Because
Think
from the
about,
alien's perspective, listening to other people's perspectives and being inclusive rather than exclusive is the doorway to multidimensionality.
say it again, I lost you.
Okay. Listening to other people's perspectives and being inclusive rather than exclusive is the doorway to multidimensionality.
Yep.
So
Yep.
aliens, like, why wouldn't they want to become multidimensional? If
Right.
they listen to everyone, then they're going to render themselves multidimensional.
Right. The reason they can't, the reason the human can't is because whatever it is that's being discussed is triggering something in that human. It's like here goes another one of those trauma ping pong tables, you know? So this is why I literally think that healing trauma is the key to everything, because people that are confrontational, people that are aggressive with their tones and unable to sit with any sort of openness of hearing a different opinion, there's a massive amount of trauma. I don't know what it is, but there's a crap ton of trauma in there, especially if there's anger, which is really sadness, which is really just not being loved at some point in their lives. So if you can see that, can you start first and not perpetuate that unconsciousness, but instead try to hold space for that unconsciousness, so that maybe that unconsciousness can start to be can start to feel safe enough to be felt by that other human. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we if we perpetuate it by playing off it, like somebody's really aggressive, they don't want to hear your stuff, and they're like, shut up, I don't want to hear you, and then you go back and start that ping pong,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing a disservice to yourself and to them, instead of understanding, oh, this is what's going on, this is trauma, oh my God, they're unconscious, oh my goodness, my role here is to try to hold space for that, to see God within them, to not perpetuate this. This is how we heal humanity. This is how we heal ourselves. This is how we do it. If we think from that perspective, I think we have a better chance here.
And not only that, it's not only just a service to the other person and yourself. When you do that, you light up in the universe. Like you literally stand out from the crowd. Because if you don't do that, meaning if you shut off or you tune out, if you don't do that, you're just going to have a life that's very average. You're not going to light up in the cosmos. We want to we literally want to light up like an antenna or like a satellite or some sort of a light bulb in the universe going, I'm different, I'm divergent, I'm different, I'm divergent, and I can do it all. I can hold the space for all of it. So universe, I'm ready for more responsibility. How can you be given more responsibility? How can you be assigned more responsibility if you can't even hold space for someone who's talking to you?
Right.
So
Right.
think of all the people right now who are in the wrong relationship. I don't know why I wanted to say that. I wanted to be random. My mind does that sometimes. It's like, let's grasshop over here. And then let's grasshop over there. But think of all the, oh my God, think of all the people I throw off at a dinner table right now. They'd be like, what the fuck? That doesn't even like, there's no relation. But there is.
But that was what I said in the very beginning of the video, is there's a lot of people that are not in the right relationships right now. And I got this massive hit that they have to exit now.
But think of all the people who are in the wrong relationship, who attracted a relationship based on the trauma that they held at the time that they met that person. And the reason why they're still screaming at each other is because they're in the wrong relationship.
I know, and it's because they don't feel like they deserve love really deep down. The deepest core wound that most of us hold is that we can't really be loved for who we are. That's the deepest wound. That we'll never really be loved for who we are. Or we're going to die. Death is probably the number one, even though it's very unconscious in a lot of people. And then not being loved for who you are. If you took those two pieces, consciousnesses, out of this entire collective, it would be a very different game we would be playing.
So if you took out loving yourself and you took out, what was the second one?
So if you took out the fear of not being loved, right? Oh. That you really can't be loved for who you are. That fear of not being able to really be loved. Because that's really why people stay in relationships. And then the second piece is fear of death.
Fear of not being loved. If you took that out, different game.
You wouldn't stand for any nonsense in any aspect of your life.
What else?
Fear of death?
No, let's go deeper with that. What would the game look like?
You would ask for everything you wanted. You wouldn't settle for anything. You go to a hotel and you get the wrong room. You'd go back in and you say, I need a different room. You go and, you're walking into a classroom and the teacher speaks to you in a specific way. You speak up and you say, I'm sorry, I don't want you to speak to me that way. You meet somebody at a bar and they say a certain thing and your radar goes off and like, I don't think so. That's not the one for me. And you leave instantaneously. You don't play it out any longer. Your father or your mother says something to you and it hurts. That ping. Wait a second. You're not speaking to me in love. You're not speaking to me. And then it reflects back to them, right? And then that would never happen, right? Because if that was taken off the planet, if that was taken out of the grid and we all loved each other unconditionally, we all saw each other for who we were as our signatures, we wouldn't even be responding that way. We would only be being the signature. We would only be being our signature. And if you're only your signature, you're going to honor everybody else's signature, which is what we're designed to do. Every single human is bopping around with their signature. And if we are 100% unconditionally aligned and loving with our signature, no other signature is going to bother us. That's the whole key to the human journey. That's the whole key to all of this. So you're just bopping around looking at everybody else's signature. I sure wouldn't do, like a lot of your videos, right? Everyone thinks you're judgmental, right? And you're like, no, I'm just being me, speaking an opinion. I'm speaking a truth. I'm just being my signature. And they're like, no, 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 that's judgmental. That's judgmental. It's like, no, it's not judgmental. You're confusing your trigger with my truth. That's really what's happening.
That is the story of my life. The story of my life, to be so unfiltered and open, and then having people freak out and then try to suppress me. That's the story of my life. But I'm literally wired to just be in my truth.
Yeah.
I don't
Over and over again.
I'm just passionate.
Yeah. You never gave up.
I'm not going to give up. I still butt up against them, but I can't, how could I give up on who I am?
A lot of people do.
I would never give up on who I am.
I know. You would be abandoning yourself.
Like, I'm not going to play small. Can't handle a big personality.
Right.
And the other thing about, I never attack people randomly. I would never do that. That's the thing. I don't judge humans. If anything, I tell people, you're free to do what you want to do.
Right.
But it's not okay to be mean to people. It's not okay to overstep. That's the thing. I want everyone to be happy. I really do. I want everyone to feel free. I want everyone to feel like, really, I can go hula hoop naked? Really, you can go hula hoop naked. I want everyone to know they're free. But that doesn't mean that you let someone just treat you like shit. Because the people who need to like treat you like a punching bag are not free. So they're trying to steal your joy.
And if you unconditionally love your signature, if you devour your signature, you will very politely let that person know you're not going to be in this area. Namaste.
Yeah.
See you later. And you're going to do it in a way that is not confrontational or argumentative because you know your signature. So you're going to be like, dude, I don't know why you thought that was an okay conversation to just have with me, but I'm going to politely tell you that doesn't work here. Period.
I can't even believe we're talking about this. Like, this to me, I always tell my friend Becky, and I've been saying this for years, it's like, it's not rocket science. It's so basic.
I know, but the evolution in human consciousness is basic.
Well, yeah, exactly. I feel you.
It's basic, but it's quantum. This is what's so great. This is what is so genius about all of this that we're in. It is simultaneously the evolution in human consciousness, the evolution of your consciousness of your life, the evolution of the collective is simultaneously quantum, because that is the nature of everything, i.e. everything is existing in this now, every dimension, every aspect, every possibility, everything. And at the exact same time, you zero in on the human experience, you zero in on the human body, you zero in on all of this, and it becomes very simple. So the evolution of our consciousness is simultaneously holding the simplicity of what we are being asked to peel back. How do you tell somebody that you don't want them in your life? And simultaneously recognizing that there is this higher power within and around you called Source, God, Spirit, higher self, that is constantly trying to get your attention as you are evolving. You're constantly being asked to come back home to this place where the quantum field exists, where that 0 point focus is, while you are also intricately peeling back these nuances of being human that just seem absurd, but we have to dive into every dust particle of the shadow as mundane as it is, in order to be able to evolve and to tap into all that ever was and will be, God, light, force, spirit, right? There's no, you can't go, there's no other way around it.
Yeah. But that there's another approach. Like, if you were to say, this is who I am, and everyone else was to say, this is who I am, and you erased all the lies you were told, you erased all this idea of who you need to be for others, and you just started speaking your truth time, every time. There's nothing
Practice.
to get to God. You don't have to work your way. You don't have to work your way up for God. God would never say, you need to pay your dues. God would never say that. God would say, just freaking be you, own it, and other people are going to be them. And it's not going to make sense to you, or you're not going to agree with it, but it's going to be great. All of it's great. It's all great.
God would just say, dude, you're a rock star in everything you're experiencing, no matter what it is. As hard as that is for some people to comprehend. And the practice is I practice that all the time. How authentic can I be in my expression with every person in my life, over and 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 over again, because that's and the awareness of when I am not 100% that authentic expression, and then it goes, and then I say, well, why did I not? What was it about that individual or that experience where I didn't? Right? There's always this like scientific observer in me that's like trying to figure out why I didn't, and what will I do next time. And I mean, that's how we want to be in all of this, is never going unconscious around anything ever again.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I've learned lessons around that. I've learned so I'm going to share this story real quick. So this is to say that whenever you have a moment of unconsciousness in life, it's always going to be served to you on a platter so you can become more conscious, so that you can raise your game in terms of consciousness. A year ago, someone DM'd me and they said, I'd love to start a page for you with all your quotes. And I said, only do it if it makes you happy, but don't do it for me. Right? Like, I think that's a very honest response. But I still had a blind spot, because when someone wants to start a page for you, they shouldn't tell you they're going to start a page. They just do it. If you're going to treat a friend to dinner, you just do it. You don't need to call your family after and say, I treated my friend to dinner. So a year ago, I had a blind spot because I have a soft spot for people. So I thought, oh my God, that's so nice, but please only do it if it brings you joy. And then a few days ago, that person turned on me and started calling me all these names to their followers. And I was so grateful for that. So grateful, because my guides brought me back to a year ago. What I couldn't see back then is that if someone has to message you rather than just start the page, it means that that's a shadow.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So I responded to a shadow because I still had a little bit of a shadow. And then that shadow had to be served to me to go, Phil, you had a blind spot last year. And last year, I didn't think I had a blind spot. I thought I was courteously saying to that person, like, thank you so much. That's very sweet, but please do it if it brings you joy. Don't do it for me. I thought I was in my truth back then, which I was, but I still had a blind spot, because my true me doesn't really respond to DMs. My true me now knows, that if you want to start a page about my quotes, then you don't need to tell me you're going to do that. But if you have to tell me, it means that it was a setup. They didn't set me up. My higher self set me up, because they wanted to show me that I still fall for shit sometimes. So my point is, anytime you're unconscious, anytime you will always have a light shine on that area within your brain or within your mind, that spot within your mind, because then you can say, wow, I did have a blind spot last year because my true self doesn't have time to respond to DMs. But because they sent me a message with this feel good page, I thought, oh, the nice thing to do is to respond. But the nice thing gets you in trouble sometimes.
It's not even that you don't, it's not even about that you don't respond to DMs. So there's somebody that started a YouTube channel that does these really great videos with me, right? She didn't reach out to me and say, hey, I'm going to do this. She just started to do it. And she didn't even tell me, hey, check out this one I did. Nothing. She just did her thing. And if somebody were to email, if she would have emailed me and said, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, I would have intuitively radared into what's actually happening underneath that. I would have felt her shadow. And I would have said, oh, this is her shadow. She needs something. She's trying to grab something from me. She needs something. I'm not playing that game. I'm going to ignore it, which is what I would do, right? And so there was a piece of you that needed to be shown because you didn't even recognize that piece of shadow that was coming through from her, right? So
Now it's been shown because a few days
now
ago.
it's been shown. Yep. Yeah.
So her intention from the get-go might have been good,
Yes.
but there was still a shadow that she might have been unaware of,
Right.
which is the same shadow I was unaware of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't blame her. I'm very grateful for that, for how that went down. For real. I'm very
Yes.
grateful for it. But maybe, you know, she saw that I wasn't sharing the page and then she got really upset, which isn't unconditional. If you're going to start a page, you shouldn't expect to share.
Right. And also, there's nothing wrong with shadow. Like, there's nothing wrong with somebody's shadow. There's nothing wrong with trigger. This is part of being human. And I think that one of the things we always talk about, oh yeah, that was my shadow. That was, I got triggered. That was like, we don't pretend that we don't have that. Like, we're not pretending that we don't get triggered. Like, this is not about anything other than this is what it's like to be human. This is what it's like to be human. I'm going to give you an example, and I'm not telling you that this person was bad or wrong. She is not bad, and she is not wrong. See, when people are going to listen
Nope.
to this, they're instantly going to go to, Phil said this about her, Lorie said this about her, or whatever that is. That's what we do. That's how we filter. What they're not hearing, if you are somebody that's going to do that, what you're not hearing is that there's no judgment around how she showed up. There's no judgment around how Phil showed up. This is how human shadow it plays out. That's it.
That's
That's
all.
it.
It's all a freaking gift. The whole thing is a gift. Even when people break your heart, it doesn't feel like a gift when it happens, but when you grieve and you release all of that expectation and the attachment, it's a gift. It's a,
Always.
the whole
Always.
wish people could really grasp that there's no right, no wrong, there's no judgment. It I had to be shown that. I
Yeah.
had to be shown that.
Well, you also have to step out of victimhood.
Yeah.
So if you're still playing in any little tiny minute areas of victimhood, what that looks like is
Yep.
you did this, you acted this way, you disappointed me, you changed, you didn't meet my expectation. That's playing in victim because you're not actually taking responsibility for the fact that you are creating everything. Nobody's doing or throwing or nothing. That's when you are stepping out of victimhood, nobody's doing anything to you. You're having a response to something. You have an attachment to something. You have an expectation around something, but nobody's actually doing anything to you. And so
Also, this is how we can like verify that it's not judgment for anyone. Because if it wasn't that person, that shadow would have been demonstrated in a different way.
correct.
It would have shown up in a different package.
Yeah.
So it's never about the person. It's all energy, all energy. So if you don't deal with that blind spot, so think of it like this: the human that's linear, that's monodimensional or like third dimensional, has all these blind spots because we were made in the image of God. God's source is 12th dimensional. It's a 12th dimensional consciousness. So we have 12 dimensions in this body. That's what it means to be the image of God. We have 12 dimensions that we can access. So if you're operating third dimensionally, your blind spots are going to keep being shown to you so that you can become more dimensional. All of your blind spots are going to be shown to you so that you can become fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional, seven. You can become all of it. So when your triggers come up, that's not a bad thing. That's actually an opportunity to biologically upgrade to a higher dimension.
While still being human. While still being human.
Well, yeah, while still being human, because the human is designed to be the image of God.
Right.
The human is designed to walk around and go, getting information left.
Yeah.
Like I walk around on the street, I'm getting messages from everyone's guides, but it doesn't mean me because you just become a super database.
I think it's key to really point out that like being multidimensional is also is human. The human is the human is designed to be multidimensional. So there the embracing of all of the humanness of what we're experiencing is I think it's really, really important. It comes along.
It comes along. I think because someone just asked me a really good question now. They said, how can we identify our blind spots or something to that effect? It's very easy. So what you do is every time you get triggered, which is likely to happen every single day, okay, it could be that your mom's calling you and you're tired. You're like, ugh, my mom's calling me again. That's a trigger. It's a thought in your mind where you're like, fuck, my mom's calling me again. Should I pick up? Should I not? Don't pick up. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Call your mom when you have energy again, when you filled yourself back up, when you've recharged your batteries. Never do anything if you're not feeling it. Never do anything if you're never have a conversation if you're triggered. Just wait a little bit. So how do you become aware of your blind spots? Simple. You get triggered, there's a blind spot every time. A trigger equates to a blind spot. Become aware of how you typically give your power away, as opposed to use it as an opportunity to take your power back in, to take your power back. As you take your power back, you raise your level of awareness. You start to become aware of what you did to disserve yourself in the past, to deplete yourself in the past, and then you choose something new. You're more aware now. You're more aware now. It's like when a friend pushes your buttons and you get all riled up and worked up and you lash out at them. A few hours later, when you've rested, you're like, you know what? I was a little out of line for reacting that way. That's because you took the time to reflect on the situation. You took the time, but that story didn't need to happen. So you don't always have to go back into the past and edit. What we want to do is avoid creating these scenarios. We want to start writing a new story now. How do you do that? You start becoming present now.
You start feeling.
Yes.
You have to feel. You can't be present in your mind. The mind, if you are present in the mind, this is very important. If you're present in the mind is going to take you out of the present. The mind is not where the present is. Meaning, when you are present and you're going to feel. It's going to be energy. You're going to feel something. That's how you're going to know how you're about to respond. Do you understand? Like if something happens and you get triggered, or I forgot what the question was. What was the question?
How do you identify your blind spots?
Okay. So you identify the blind spot by feeling how you are about to respond, by feeling whether this is pulling you from yourself, taking your power away. You feel it. You don't think it, because if you start thinking, then you're going to go into some sort of future sort of experience where you're not in this now having the exchange. If you are feeling everything, experiencing everything, observing everything over and over and over again, as often as you can when you're having it, you're not going to miss any blind spots. You're going to feel it.
I feel like feeling lights your internal body up. I mean, feeling is raising your consciousness.
Yeah, hold on. There's something coming. Like feeling is like the light switch. So you like the dimmer. No, that's not feeling.
Okay, I got it. Feeling is the carrier of source energy.
Yeah, like
You know how, like, if you have coconut oil and eucalyptus, coconut oil is the carrier of that eucalyptus.
yes.
Feeling is the carrier of higher light. So when you feel what's coming up for you, you're lighting yourself up from the inside. That's what you're doing. It's the carrier of source energy.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's how we navigate this human experience. Think about that for a second. It's how we navigate, it's how we understand this human experience is through feeling. If we didn't, meaning I can see clearly now because I'm feeling. I can understand now because I'm feeling. I know what direction to take because I'm feeling. I know my resonance because I'm feeling. I know my thoughts because I'm feeling. And think of how we have been, think of what the Matrix has done to us. It's pulled us out of feeling. And feeling is literally how we navigate this human journey. It's how we come back home. It's how you know whether you have a trigger. It's how you know if you have a blind spot. It's how I know if I want to hang out with you or not. It's how I know if I want to marry this person or not. At the end of the day, feeling is the way through all of this, because think about presence. In presence, you're just being, and being is literally just feeling.
But not always, though. So you're feeling where you've been caught in the matrix. So you're feeling, this is how I would kind of reframe it, even though everything you said was accurate.
Yeah.
Feeling is opening up your spiritual eyes. Feeling is the opening into consciousness. Feeling is where you can identify where you did get stuck in victimhood. You're feeling all the stories.
Okay.
But feel that story and you realize that story is an illusion, you may not feel it when it comes back up. Because you could see it. You could see right through the smoke and mirrors.
Right.
So if someone's deceiving me, and I've been, what's the word? Fool me once, shame on me. No, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. If I fall for it, and I had to get deceived so that I could see that I'm in the matrix, okay? I'm gonna feel the fucking, you deceived me, you betrayed me, you lied. I need to feel it. The feeling is inviting more light. The feeling is showing me where I got caught in the program. The next person who tries to deceive me, I don't need to feel it. Good luck. I don't need to feel anything because
it won't come up.
My higher awareness is online now.
But you're going to feel something else.
Maybe not, because if I'm being isn't always feeling. Your higher self doesn't feel shit. So if you're connected to your higher self by being, and you become the higher self through being, you're not going to feel shit.
No.
You're just being.
Yeah, you're right.
We feel to clear programming. That's all we're doing. We're feeling to clear trauma. We're feeling to clear the illusion, to become aware of the illusion.
To become aware of the illusion.
But feeling doesn't. You don't always have to feel. I'm
right.
only gonna feel something that is. For instance, I'm gonna feel joy if I hang out with you. That's a human experience, and I want to feel joy. Right. So I want to feel that. If a friend screws me over, I'm probably not going to feel anger anymore. I might have a second of going, okay, it happened, but I've been here before. I know how to handle it. I have experience now. I'm not judging them. I'm not. We usually need to feel a lot because we're clearing through programming.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. So the more that you come into an attuned, aligned state of awareness and consciousness, coming back into wholeness with all the aspects of you, soul, higher self, all of that, the volume turns down on the feelings. Because I was thinking about today, right, where I was like so in my higher self, I didn't feel much.
No, you feel nothing.
Yeah, I was like, am I existing right now? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, you
The
know,
the other thing is when you truly break out of the matrix, what you used to feel through your empathy won't be felt like that anymore because you love yourself too much. So when people walk by me in the past, I would feel everything. That's because I was still caught in the matrix. I still cared about what they thought. I felt like maybe I'm invading their privacy for knowing what they're feeling or seeing or whatever. Once you break out of the matrix, when people walk by you, you probably won't feel them anymore because you're not attached to programming anymore.
and this might sting, but the idea, the that I'm an empath and I feel a lot is a program.
Oh yeah.
So that's a paradigm that we play in, and then we create that reality. Because when I was higher self, when I am higher self, when I connected to higher self, that empathy, like, oh my God, I'm gonna feel everything from all these people, that doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, a very simple question is, think it's kind to your body to feel all that all the time?
Wait, say that again.
Is it kind to the body constantly feeling everyone's crap? Not. It's not really their crap, it's yours. And the body wants you to get rid of it.
And the human is not designed, the human body is not designed to be in that heightened state of empathism that everyone talks about. It's not designed to be that way. So it's the human trying to figure out how to be in an energetic world. That's basically what they're talking about when they're like, I'm so empathic, I feel so much. It's just the human trying to remember how to be human, i.e. how to be in physicality, how to be in matter, in an energetic world where everything is energy. Of course, you're going to feel like you're losing your mind because you're an empath or empathic or it's overwhelming. But that's a paradigm. That's part of being in a matrix with all the other paradigms that we play in. It's real until you no longer choose that paradigm and you step out of it and say, I'm now free from that paradigm. It exists. I could drop back down in and play in that paradigm if I wanted to, or I could break free from that paradigm and find myself in an even more whole state of being. The higher self is able to watch all paradigms be in the matrix and not be impacted by the matrix at all.
Exactly. And that's not to say that you're going to walk around invincible and never feel anything. Uh, but it just goes to say that if you've really accumulated an experience, you may not have to feel it. You may not have to feel everything. If you walked up to a yogi in India and you said, how are you feeling right now? They'd be like, I'm not feeling, I'm just being.
And that's legitimately the truth.
That's the truth. We are human beings. We're being. We feel because we did too much. We were human doings because we did too much, and we got caught up in what will people think of me, da, 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 and you care about what everyone thinks of you, and then you take on everything that is yours through the outer world. It's all yours. I mean, at the end of the day, the most basic but the most complex teaching is that it is all yours, all of it. No one's putting a curse on you. You hold a limiting belief that someone can place a curse on you, and based on that belief, that reality will be real. But it's not really real because it's only real when you have that belief. It's all beliefs, 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 beliefs. And it's all for you. So if someone's able to place a curse on you or a spell on you, give thanks for that, because it's showing you where you still have susceptibilities or vulnerabilities, or where you can still feel like you're prone to getting attacked, which can lead you to victimhood. It can keep you in victimhood. So it's all there for you. It's literally, if you could start seeing the universe through, or the world through the eyes of, this is my universe. No one's experiencing it like me. No one is experiencing life like me, because it's all for me.
And it is. That's hard though. That's hard for a lot of humans
It's
to.
hard for humans to receive. So one simple step, a practical step people could start to do is start to receive. So receiving advice, receiving constructive feedback, receive all of it, because if it's all for you, how will you ever know that you don't receive that? You won't. How will you ever be able to manipulate your own matrix field if you can't receive that it's your matrix field?
Right.
The whole thing is for you. But if you can't receive that, then you're not going to receive truths. You're not going to receive perspectives. You're going to shove everything away from you. You're going to turn everything away from you. But really, the practical step is start receiving that this whole thing has been designed for you. The whole thing has been designed for you.
And the other piece, the other vision I want to share that came in last night when you and I were talking, I really got a extremely, because it's piggybacking on what you just said, that everything's designed for you, that it's all yours, it's all your play. So last night I got the most magnificent vision of what the higher self's role is, and how the patience that the higher self has for the lower self, the ego version of us, the personality version of us, and how the higher self is always working overtime to bring you to the next highest version of you. Always. It's like this beautiful piece of you that loves you so much and is doing everything it can to always move you to the version of you that you want so badly, that you don't believe you can have yet. So you have all these limiting beliefs around, and the higher self is like, no, I promise you, I got it. I'm going to show you. I promise. Just trust me, right? And it's such a beautiful vision of like, wow, we have always been supported and guided by an aspect of us that we have just only begun to really understand or tap into, feel, hear. It's only just beginning.
Well, how do you feel about ending now?
I feel good.
Glad we did this.
Yeah, this was really this was fun.
I thought we were going to invite people on screen, but we'll do that next time.
Yeah, I had a vision that we were going to go live this morning, and then boom, because we don't plan anything.
We don't plan anything. Oh my God.
5 minutes before we went on.
People they're all
What?
saying, they're talking about Joe Dispenza and Phil. They're like, who inspired you more? I'm like, wow, thank you for putting me in that category.
Oh my God, I love it. We were just listening to Joe Dispenza for the first time.
I listened to him for the first time.
Yeah.
He does all that pineal gland shit I do too.
Oh, he does? I watched him on stage once. He had like a big whiteboard, and I forgot what he was talking about, but it was good.
It's more scientific. So he does all that stuff, but it's then he's working with science.
So he has like proof.
He has proof. So he has a really important role.
Yeah.
As do all of us. Every single person in the room has a seriously important, unequivocally important role. Every single person in this room. For real.
How can anybody not love you? I mean, look.
I saw myself smiling. I caught a quick glimpse, like as I was about to look back, I saw myself smiling, and I was like, I look frozen right now.
Next time we go live, we'll bring some people on.
Bring some people on next time. The reason I actually can keep going, but the reason why I want to end is because last time we were live for a really long time and I couldn't download the file.
Oh.
So I would keep going and invite people, but I want to make sure that I don't know, it's been 2 hours. So hopefully I can download the file.
Okay.
Yeah. I love you guys.
We love you.
I think we gave a lot tonight. Like
That was 2 hours?
that was 2 hours.
No way. No way.
Mm-hmm.
That was a time warp for me.
Time warp.
That was a time warp for me. That's what happens when we get on our slides. It's like 5 hours later and we're like, what did we just do?
I know. It's been an intense week.
It really has. Well, I'm glad that we did this. I think it was just the way it was. And we'll see everybody next time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, you guys.